Welcome to Leveling Up with Lindsay, the podcast where we dive into leadership, small business, and everything in between. I'm Lindsay, your host and the proud owner of White Peony Boutique, a space created to empower women, build confidence, and foster meaningful connections. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a mom, a friend, or someone just looking for a little inspiration, this is your space to feel seen, supported, and inspired. Join me as we share stories, strategies, and a little bit of life's chaos while navigating what it truly means to level up in starting a business, relationship, and personal growth. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and let's level up together. Today we're here with Megan Miller, an executive coach, a self-employed entrepreneur, a mom of two, a wife, and a really good friend of mine. So welcome, Megan.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Megan plays so many roles, and a little bit about what I want to talk today is juggling everything. Juggling everything. When Megan and I get together, maybe with a glass of wine or two, we could sit and honestly talk people and all the things for hours.
We got kicked out of the last place we stayed. It was like a Tuesday night.
We sat on the sidewalk and just kept going.
We just moved the conversation from one spot to the next.
To another.
Yeah.
When you say quick dinner conversation, it's not. She's here on a lunch probably.
Yes, I am. This is my lunch break.
So we gotta move it. Okay, Megan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, you always make me feel so much fancier than I actually am. So I'll just tell you a little bit about me. I'm a revenue enablement manager at a local organization here at Instant Cloud. I'm a communication coach, a sales coach, a friend. Does my list keep going? I'm just like going through your list here. And honestly, when you asked me to do this podcast, like, was it 2 days ago?
Yeah.
I am so selective with my time, and you know that.
Yep.
And so, like, I go through this mental practice. Am I going to get energy from the interaction, or am I going to give energy? So I'm like, anytime I have with Lindsay, I get energy. So I'm like, carve it out. I need it.
I love that. I will put you on a pedestal because every time I'm with Megan, I have hired Megan as a photographer who is one of the best. And I always say, whenever I leave, I'm with you, I'm in a business where we do a lot of photography, and I actually do not love being behind the camera. It's uncomfortable with me.
She's lying. She loves it.
No, and Megan makes you feel so incredible, and I think that's the person you are. I also look forward to being with you because I just know we're going to laugh. You radiate energy. You make people feel so good. I would say you're also, I said a friend coach earlier when we were getting ready, because as we're sitting here, she's like, you can do it.
I can't hold back. You know, like, you've been given this gift to coach, and there's really just no boundaries on where it stops. It just follows me where I go.
And I believe that you have been given a gift to coach. So that is something that you bring to the table. And honestly, when Megan and I sit and talk about leadership and people, she gives me a list of about 20 books that I need to read.
That's true.
I have notes in my phone specifically for when I meet with Megan because I know I'm going to come out of it with takeaways. As far as people goes, let's talk a little bit about that. So if there's one thing I know that Megan brings to the table, it is definitely coaching people. You have some incredible people skills. It is one topic that I could literally, like I said, talk about for hours. But where, Megan, along your career, along the lines, did you feel like you found kind of your niche, if that's what you want to claim it?
Yeah.
I kind of did that for you, claiming that your niche. But where along the lines would you say you started feeling very comfortable?
Yeah. You know, I feel like I stumbled upon both my business and I stumbled upon coaching. At the organization I'm currently with, I was in a recruiting role for 7 years. And so my role was to talk to people day in, day out and find the best match for them. So I think it just really sharpened my skill and ability to listen.
Yes.
And ask the right questions and dig a little bit deeper. And then the pivot from recruiting to revenue enablement is I could bring people in the organization, but I wanted to make an impact on their experience when they were with us. This role became available, and it was really about how to align some of the tools and resources we had to make sure that they were equipped to handle. And so it just was a natural fit with the relationships I had built for 7 years. And so now for the last 3 years, my role has been coaching over 70 of our managers and directors. First, it was to leverage the marketing tools that we have, and now it has been more so evolved to the entire sales process. And how we coach, communicate, and challenge, and how we use questions to help our employees self-discover for themselves.
I will say, like, I've had the opportunity to sit with Megan a few times, and after our last photography session, we sat and had lunch. And, you ask exactly what you're explaining. You ask the perfect questions, and I can sit and see you. Your listening is incredible because I can see your brain like spinning as you're listening to every single little word I'm saying. Like you're very zoned in. Listening skills for any type of leader or professional or individual on a personal level is actually far more important than I think people give credit to.
Oh my gosh.
Don't you believe?
Oh, I can spend our whole time talking about this.
Literally.
I think what people often miss, like they get so caught up in what they're going to say next that they actually miss what's being said. I don't have the magic question. So oftentimes my managers will be like, where's your list of questions? I'm like, I don't have them. I do have some go-tos that help challenge, but mostly it's me listening to who I'm talking to and building off of that thread until we've gotten to the core. So listening is a skill.
And highly recommended.
It's just like a tiny muscle that needs to be worked over
That's
and
a good
over
way of putting
again.
it.
People think that's like, if you looked at like your competencies, listening you would just think is like, okay,
easy,
you're
simple.
listening. But it's like you listen. Are you listening to respond, or are you listening to understand?
Yeah.
And like, how do you wear that?
That's a good one.
How do you wear that
Listening to
lens?
understand. I love that. So I guess I would take that as a little bit of advice, but for anybody, what would you say, like working on that muscle, like you said, or listening to understand, how do you work on that? How do you do better?
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. So can we pull it back to like leadership and the mentality of leadership? So we talked about this before, but I believe leadership is a mindset. It's not a title. You don't have to manage people to lead them.
That's going to be its own podcast, just the two of us. Whether you think you're a leader or don't think you're a leader, I also always say this. You don't have to be in a position that says you're a manager, leader, whatever that entails. It's actually in your life, in your personal life. But anyways, go on, because
I'll say it like, I say informal leader, but you can be a leader in your home. So whether you are a stay-at-home mom, which like kudos, it's the hardest job out there and doesn't get enough praise and recognition for your sacrifice and everything. You can be a leader in your home. You can be a leader with your friends. You can be a leader in your family. You can be a leader on your team. Just because you're a manager does not mean you are leading your people. Yes. And so people often confuse those two.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more.
I feel like a mistake that organizations make, and this is just like going back to my recruiting days, is they often will say, this is the best performer we have. So they naturally are going to be the next manager that we have.
Yep.
And the problem is when you're a leader, it shifts. It's no longer about you.
Mic drop. I say that is exactly what I say.
Kindred spirits.
Look at us. No, honestly, that's exactly what I say every time. I said, for some people, the hardest adjustment when you move into a leadership role is it is no longer about you.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And I think, and
not simple. Actually.
Yeah, it's big.
It is.
And the mentality shift of letting go of your desire to control the outcome or how you get to the outcome. And that's hard. Like going into a meeting being like, I know what Lindsay needs and I know what she needs to say and I know what tools and I know what cadence and when. Letting go of that and then asking you questions, that's where behavior change happens. There's commitment and then there's compliance. Compliance is, okay, I'm going to tell you what you need to do, Lindsay, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to do it because I'm going to get Megan off my back.
Yep.
Whereas commitment is where I get you to a place where you're like, this is what I need to do, and this is the why behind it. And that's where you see the behavior change, and that's where you get the buy-in.
It's like buying into the process.
Yeah.
So back to listening and leadership. Becoming a leader and developing that leadership skill set, listening is top 1 to 3 on the list of necessary strengths or values that you bring to the table. And there might be times we all fumble a little bit and you might leave a conversation or you might leave a little interview or a meeting and think, wow, I maybe could have done a little differently.
Yeah.
Being mindful about the situation is so, so, so important. But that is one thing that you absolutely excel. I don't often say that about leaders that I've coached as well, that they're just fantastic listeners. Like it isn't just something that's on top of my mind all the time either, but that is something that you absolutely bring to the table.
Thank you. Gosh, you're just making me feel so good. Is this what I do when you're in front of the lens? Oh my gosh,
Wait till we
thank
talk
you.
photography because I will go on and on.
So you had talked about like leaving an interaction and thinking, I wish I would have done that better.
Yes.
I believe that the best communicators and the best leaders and the best managers and honestly just the best people leave almost every interaction and think, what could I have done differently? So that next level, when you have like mastered your ability to communicate, you no longer are dependent on how somebody else shows up in the conversation. You set the conditions, you get ahead of problems before they become problems. And then at the end, you're reflecting. And the theme of feedback, you say what you see. So I don't know if you've read the book. You knew this was gonna happen.
Everyone get a pen and paper out or write it in
you.
your notes in your phone.
Radical Candor.
Yes, I
by
have.
Kim. Have you read
I
it?
have read that.
Oh my gosh.
This is where my heart, I could talk leadership all freaking day long, and Radical Candor, I did.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we've never talked about
I
this.
know.
So I teach Radical Candor often. And if I was going to teach it just like in a really simple format, it's your ability to communicate, give feedback while caring personally and challenging directly. And there's like 4 quadrants. So there's high caring or low caring. And then there's staying silent or challenging directly. So if there's 4 different ways you can handle it. So if Lindsay was going to do her very first podcast and she had spinach in her teeth, if I was going to challenge directly, but I forgot to care personally, I might shout in front of the whole store like, hey, Lindsay, you got spinach in your teeth. The good news is Lindsay knows she has spinach in her teeth, so she can get rid of it. The bad news is I didn't really care personally, and it probably made her feel defensive and a little uncomfortable. The other quadrant is if I cared so much, then I'm like, oh my gosh, if I tell Lindsay that she has spinach in her teeth, she's gonna feel so embarrassed, and I feel so badly that I'm not gonna say anything. Most people fall in this quadrant. This is ruinously empathetic. No change happens, even though your intention was really good. And that's the problem. We sit there so long that we swing into obnoxious aggression when it's time. Then there's manipulative insincerity. And that would be if I saw you and I said, oh my gosh, Lindsay has spinach in her teeth. And then I turned around to everyone. I'm like, did you guys just see Lindsay? And then we have radical candor, which would be, Lindsay, I know you would do this for me. You're about to step into one of the most important things that you're going to do in 2025. You have spinach in your teeth, and I wanted you to know in private. So that means I've cared personally and challenged directly. So I use that a lot to gauge how we communicate with each other. We rate it. We say scale of 1 to 10, how do you do in caring personally? 1 to 10, how do you challenge directly when reviewing emails? And then we role play how to change it.
I think we should figure out how to put the book in a link in the show notes. We'll do that.
Yeah, Kim Scott. I love her.
Kim Scott, yes.
She's awesome. I should have wore orange to represent her.
But you look beautiful in the blue.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're here representing spring. Mindfulness. Let's talk a little bit about that. Everything that you're talking about right there. One thing that I've been asked many times, Lindsay, are you ever going to be satisfied? Oh. And that is a very broad question. I think sometimes I reflect in pretty much all areas. Meetings, leaving this like you're just saying, interviews, interactions, employee moments, a little bit of everything. But for me, there's always a little bit of room for improvement. Yeah. Now, that does not mean I'm not satisfied. I'm incredibly grateful and loved the interaction. When we have big events at White Peony Boutique, every single little moment, I reflect on that and look to see how I can kind of level up. It doesn't mean I wasn't satisfied. I was so thrilled and so happy. But I do believe being very mindful is important because there are little takeaways that you can get with an interview, with an interaction, after an event. There's always a little bit of adjustment.
There is a space to celebrate. We should be celebrating when things go well. I could not agree more. I have a coach and I have had a coach. He lives in Scotland. So I
forgot about
he's great. Chris Marr, another shout out, authoritative coach. Buy the book, you need it. He's been coaching me for the past 3 years. And for me, I'll tell him about a celebration or a compliment, and it always ends with, okay, so what's your takeaway from that? Or what's one thing you would change? Or when someone compliments him, he like never just takes as a compliment. If I'm like, Chris, you've changed my life. He's like, tell me the one thing that stood out the most.
Why?
Yeah, tell me. And he's so good at it.
And I feel like there's some good and there is a little bit of bad too. I think sometimes we do just need to take a compliment, celebrate a win. And I am guilty that I need to take a moment and get excited. And it's not that I'm not, but I might need to shout out loud to others a little bit more, like deep reflect. So I get like even I'm not sobbing in the car ride, but there are times where I'm like, the sun is shining and my whole body is full of gratitude.
I love that so
You know, like I
much.
take these moments, but it doesn't mean I say them out loud all the time. A friend of mine is like, do you ever shut that little hamster wheel off of yours?
Because you're like, next,
No.
next.
But I don't want to discredit gratitude and, you know, taking the moments and celebrating the wins, but being mindful and reflecting is a really powerful tool as a leader.
Do you think, no, I'm going to ask you questions.
Okay.
Do you think that is just a trait that shows up when you are like about yourself? So when you're talking about like leaving an event, because when I look at you and I review your posts and everything, you are just like pouring and oozing out gratitude for everyone and the community and the people that work here. Yeah. Do you think that is maybe just something you put on yourself?
It might be. You know, that is funny. Some people I'm like, God, I don't want to be too cheesy or whatever, but this is me. Like it's literally,
I love the authenticity.
It is authentic. And when you see a social media post or I want to jump on and do a quick little video, it's who I am. I think I've been put in positions to really make you appreciate the small thing. I grew up from the most incredible family who loved me with their whole hearts. You see it.
I love her mom. So I'm
and
such
my
a
grandparents.
number one fan.
I love. There's just been. I think she actually is part of the reason why I love hard. Like I love, and I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm passionate about my circle. I would do anything for you. I have so much gratitude, but I've also had moments of anxiety, of fumbling, of some hard times, you know, losing my father-in-law unexpectedly, that have really changed a perspective even more. I think I've always been a very passionate person. I've always loved very hard, but I think some of those moments really make you look at life a little differently. Everything could always be worse when I talk about things like that because, you know, being part of the Indie Foundation, you see different perspectives that really make you channel gratitude. Speaking of gratitude, we were talking about how cold it was, and I'm like, I know everyone's saying that, but we've had so much sunshine.
Yeah. I see, look at you.
I know, but it's like legit.
Optimist. I love it.
And not all the time, but I'm like, there
Driving
have been a couple winters where I'm like, I need sun or I'm going to lose my biscuits.
Yes. Lose my biscuits. Don't do that.
I love saying that was such a lose my biscuits. We talked about listening, mindfulness. Megan and I could talk for hours. I think naturally we just talk about leadership, and I just want to make sure and reiterate, it's not about leadership in a career setting all the time. It's in your personal life as well. There's one thing that I know with Megan, and I really try on my own, is leading with authenticity and being very genuine about your message. I've had a few things in my life where my mom is like, Lindsay, just be you. It's okay. And it's kind of shown me that little birdie in the back of my head and my mom, which I'm so grateful for, but I have had to channel that at times where I question myself or think too much into something. And I'm like, nope, just be me. You know, I'm not for everyone, but I'm okay with it. And sometimes that comes with a little bit of age, a little bit of background, a little bit of career, a little bit of everything. Authenticity this is what you're going to get.
I love that about you. And you send me the goofiest snaps sometimes. You're like, this is just what I'm feeling in this moment right now. And I love it. I think that as leaders, authenticity is so important for connection and vulnerability.
Vulnerability. It goes hand in hand.
I know, we could just keep going down these rabbit holes. But I think that in terms of authenticity, it doesn't give you the permission to just show up with the wrong energy. And what I mean by that is, I actually asked a question, like, so if you have, there's a performative nature to being a leader or a coach. If you've had the longest day ever here, and then you had an event, and maybe some things went wrong, and your kids FaceTimed you. You get a FaceTime from 10 late. How are you going to show up on that call?
Right.
No, I'm asking. It's not rhetorical. I'm coaching.
You're actually asking me. Okay. So I get that. There are times I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And I get on the call with Tenley, and you kind of have to trigger that. You kind of have to dig deep. Sometimes it's a little fake it till you make it.
Why? Why would you show up that way for her?
Well, first of all, energy is very contagious, step one. And I don't want to like take my exhaustion and lay it out on her. Sometimes fake it till you make it is okay. Being authentic is absolutely one thing. And sometimes I have to be honest with my kiddos too. You know, mom is tired. I'm tired.
Yes.
I can't listen to you reading that book out loud for another 30 minutes. You know,
Yes.
we need to, but at the end
Sure.
of the day, like a little bit of fake it till you make it, because energy is contagious. And what I want, if I can help her or someone else turn their day around.
Yes.
As a leader, I have walked, and I don't know if this is the right direction going with this, but as a leader, in my previous career, was so good at it. There, you could feel the room, the atmosphere, kind of the culture go down a little bit. And I was like, not today. If I have to get through this day too, we're all going to be brought up. So I would walk in and like, how do you like mornings so much? And I was like, it's a mindset. You either
Yeah.
do or you don't. So there's a little bit of fake it till you make it, but authentically is where I think personally I just channel the gratitude a little bit. And then when I see that little face, it's like, Mom. And I'm like, how's your day? You remember your whys. You remember what gives you the gratitude.
So what I'm hearing is that you showed up the way that they needed you to show up.
Yes.
There's like you said, there is a little bit of fake it till you make it,
Yep.
but that's you like pouring the energy that your people need
Yes.
in order to make calls that day or get ready for school
Yep.
when it's negative 44 degrees outside.
Yeah.
So like although authenticity is so important,
Yes.
and I will shut down if I don't have a role where I'm allowed to be
Yes.
authentic, it does not give permission to not show up with the right energy.
Yeah, I agree
Right?
with that. I think it is important to be yourself. It's important to be silly.
Yes.
It's important to laugh and to like bring that. Sometimes you have to put yourself in a position to bring it back to who you are.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So like you leading that many leaders, can be difficult.
Yeah.
Managing managers
Yeah.
or leading managers can be very
I love you guys
difficult.
if you're watching.
Yeah.
No, I love you. I do.
No, I know
I
you
do.
do
I
actually.
really do.
And I know you love what you do. But like for myself, that's what I did for
Yeah.
years. And it can be difficult. But what I think is sometimes you have to put yourself in a position to remember what makes you the way you are. Like I love laughing. So sometimes like if we're having a rough day, not that long ago, we had a moment at even the boutique and it was kind of a rough week. I swear it was a full moon. We were running around rampant, all on empty. And I was like, that's it. I need to laugh.
Yeah.
No joke. Do you know what I did? I went and put on a freaking blow up Halloween costume
I love that.
because it was getting close to Halloween. And I came out and the girls were like, what in the...
Is that
and
the,
we
you were the
laughed.
dinosaur, right?
Yeah, it was like a big panda or...
I think I saw
was it a
Snapchat
lobster?
of this.
Probably.
I love that.
We laughed so hard. And it was this... But I was like, that's what... So you do show up for your people. Leading leaders can be hard because I'm not letting them be... You know, you can be tired and all that. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm
Yeah.
not letting the culture and the momentum slow or emotions waver. I am going to do something that I love, and I
Yeah.
love to laugh. So I just grabbed that, and I walked around like a big, you know what? I looked like a dummy, but like
And
it was
energy is
the best.
contagious. You said
It
this. I mean,
is.
it really is. I love that. I love to hear that there's awareness too, like a self-awareness. I
Yeah.
think, gosh, there's so many different
I was gonna say.
There's so many different threads that I feel like we can go into, but
Yeah.
you talked about how you felt like listening was one of the top 3
Yep,
skills. One of the most important is your belief in the person that you're coaching.
Yeah.
Because the moment you stop believing, they feel it,
Yes,
right? And when I say I love my managers, I mean it. Like
I know you do.
Sometimes they'll
I
say-
get that because talking with other people in our community or in my previous
Yeah.
career, I see and I feel and hear
Yeah.
that from you.
Sometimes my managers are like, spill the tea. Who do you hate? I'm like, no one. I really don't. I'm really fortunate for that. But there's a belief. So if you're like, I don't think this person can do this, it's like, whoa, check it. I mean, that's being a mom too. Like
Yeah.
being a mom and a friend.
We've talked about listening. We've talked about mindfulness. We've talked about authenticity.
Yeah.
You know
Oh, I
what's
love
so
these.
crazy is leading how many people in the organization that you're at right now. Megan's a pretty awesome deal here. You're like,
You always
okay, so-
overdo it for me. I'm not that big of a deal. Lindsay's a big deal.
No. Okay, but what is freaking cool is as Megan is a photographer, Birch and Honey, not only is she so incredibly skilled, but I'll never forget seeing your work on social media, I think is maybe why I reached out, but having you in person in the beginning of this boutique, there was a lot of insecurities drumming up.
Sure,
Right? I was
sure.
going through emotionally, like just, whatever that looked like. That's another podcast.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget, like, any time leaving with you, it was like, I didn't have to be a perfectionist. I just had to be me. Like, you bring out the
love that, to hear
authenticity
that.
in people which makes you automatically feel more beautiful. When you can channel, one of the things, I was actually going to get a tattoo with my grandma's writing on, I don't have any tattoos, but I was like going to go for it. I'm an overthinker when it comes to that. I know.
Tiny tat, here we go.
I was going to put on my wrist, be beautiful. It sounds cheesy, but at the end of the day, there are moments where I'm like behind a camera or a perfectionist shines through. And I was like, no, be beautiful. Because to me, what that means is like everything from within, authenticity, and so on. And so when I'm with you as a photographer, I literally feel like I can be myself. I'm myself, and it is so fun, and you're so good at channeling that with people. So I think that is part of the reason that makes you a really fantastic leader as well.
You're going to make me cry. It's the best compliment.
I would love to keep saying her photography business on here, but I actually don't want her to get too booked up. So,
Lindsay, anytime I try to like say I'm going to slow down, I get a text from Lindsay that says, you better not be talking about me, which I never have. You have so much fun. I love it so
And
so
actually,
much.
I see that in my kids and my family too. Nobody. I have 2 girls and my husband, and you think girls would be like, it's fine. No, they actually equally do not like to take pictures like my husband. They're getting much better, and they've grown up so much. But anyways, I just
Believe
think
it or
it's pretty
not,
cool.
like there's very few clients that are like, I just want you to know, I am so photogenic. And this is going to be the easiest session you've ever had. Usually people are like, I hate my arm and I hate
All
my
of it.
profile and I hate like, and so I start with, we're going to not highlight your insecurities, but I want to
Yes.
know what they are.
Yep.
And then what are the things that you feel really good about? And there's synergy. I know that you're getting here. There's synergy between my role as a coach and what I
Yes.
do in photography.
Yep.
And it actually took me a long time to see it. My role as a photographer is to see the best and the beauty in someone.
You do.
And pull it out. But the coaching component is getting them to see that themselves. Right? Like it's like full circle.
Mic drop. That's a mic drop. That is so full circle.
It's so full circle.
I was going to sit here and say we were saying that. I was like, and you're like listening even as a photographer, but what you just said there is so key, is getting someone else to believe in it.
Getting someone to believe in themselves. And I think that like sometimes even just from, and this is like being a mom and everything, is like we have this death by comparison.
Yeah,
Where we will
absolutely.
look at social media and we'll look at somebody else's pictures or we'll look at whatever and we're like, they have got it together. And the reality is, every session I have kids, they're like, I would be surprised if you got one picture. And then they get it and they're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, believe it or not, you are so beautiful. Your kids are beautiful. And there's beauty in the chaos. And so
I
it's
love
not
that.
about like these manufactured moments. It's about orchestrating and like having the organic. That's where the honey comes in. Like the organic and sweetness and
I think you're talking life right there. Like
Yeah.
honestly, because I'm thinking what you just spoke to there, coaching and everything. I think of my career life, rolling that into the boutique and like being a mom and all of that. It isn't picture perfect, and that's cool.
I love that you share that though, because boy, is it the imposter syndrome. We've talked about this. This could be a
Yes.
whole episode. This is just
I'm
like
recording
a teaser.
that next.
Oh,
I actually am.
perfect segue. Gosh, so we won't spend too much time on that. I don't know anybody that's in their role doing it being like, how on earth am I being trusted to do this?
Yeah, and if you are, great, that's amazing. But truly, it's a thing. But I don't know, being authentic is so great because it just shows like there are imperfections, there's hiccups along the way. You're goofy and not absolutely how someone wants you to be or thinks you should be. I don't know. It's a pretty awesome.
Well, we just have this fundamental need as human beings to feel accepted.
Yes.
But not
Yeah.
just to feel accepted.
right.
Like this happens to our young kids too. Like they feel like they need to be accepted, so they change who they are. We have a fundamental need to be accepted for who we are.
Yeah.
And so like your people, which you found here.
Yep.
At White
Absolutely.
Peony, or
Yeah.
like where you are like running around in a ladybug costume or whatever it is that you had, and like you just get to be yourself.
Yep.
And you can hop in and out of being goofy, but then being inspiring, and then challenging and having the hard conversation.
Yes.
Like it all comes together.
It does all come together at White Peony. I always said it's not just about clothing. I want to create a space where everyone feels welcome to come and be themselves.
It's so true.
But leave a little
Here.
bit more empowered.
Yes. I love when we do photo shoots with your girls. It's like we have fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
mean,
It is a blast.
They're
Again,
just hyping each other up. Like, girl, you look so good. That's everybody's job is
Yeah.
to fuel each other.
I agree. Okay, so let's wrap this up because We're going to have to do another pod.
Got started.
I know. I'm like, we're going to have to do this again. I do want to just ask a couple of really quick question takeaways just to leave anyone listening with a few things.
Yeah.
I know you have a whole long list of books that you would recommend.
Yeah.
Candor is one of them. But what would you say if there was a podcast or a top book that you would really recommend for someone looking to fine-tune their authenticity or leadership skills?
Ooh, oh my gosh. I wish you would have given me this beforehand so I could just go through my list.
But you have so many good ones.
Fine-tune your authenticity or leadership. So, I mean, this is really biased because it's my coach, but The Authoritative Coach is a really short read, and it's meant to break you out of your people-pleasing habits.
Love
because
that.
Naturally, we want people to like us, whether we say it or not. Sometimes that can get in the way of challenging and showing up in the way that your clients, your employees, your family needs you to show up to pull out the best version of them. I've gotten some really great frameworks. It's kind of a well. I just keep going back to revisit it.
I love that.
Because we just, under pressure, go back to what we know.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, now juggling all of the things that you do, literally, what is, and I've seen a little bit of this side of you lately, and I love every second of it because as leaders and moms juggling things, I have done the same thing. What is a major stress reliever for you that you have to do for yourself?
Yeah. Okay, so I used to get stuck in these habits of where you turn your brain off at night. I would sit and watch a Netflix series until it got too late and then fall asleep while I was editing or something. But I've been really intentional about, I go to bed at 9 o'clock. I put the phone down. I turn off my TV. My alarm goes off at 3:50 in the morning. I get up. I know this sounds so crazy, and don't be like, oh, she's getting up in the morning. This is honestly the only time that I can find for myself.
I couldn't agree with you more. Or I'm going to be up so late.
Yes.
There's something about, and I always talk about this book, The 5 a.m. Club.
Oh, Lindsay, I've not read this book.
Okay.
I have not read this book. Immediately downloading it.
It talks about what you can get done in a day when you wake up and you're up at 5 a.m. and you're doing that. You're spending you time.
I get to the gym at 4:30. And then I get my workout in, and then I sit in the sauna, and I pray, and I reflect, and I just, set my mind for the day, soften my heart, give me the words that you need me to say to these people to pour into them. And when I don't do it, I've been sick as I'm coughing up a lung here, I've taken time off. I still wake up. I can't help it.
You did. 4:30 a.m. Snapchat.
I could not go back to sleep. But, the intentionality and the discipline, and I was going to say this earlier, as a leader, you're always showing up for other people. Yes. You can't continue to pour into people with an empty bucket.
I agree.
And so, being intentional about what are you feeling into yourself? Yeah. Is it an audiobook? Is it a podcast like what this right now?
Yes.
Is this your you time, working out or going to the spa? How intentional are you being? And so that has been a new part of my routine for me.
I love how you said the discipline to pour into you.
Yes.
Rather than
it's not
everyone
easy.
says no, it's not. And you can come up with every excuse under the sun of what else you could be doing or getting done. So I would say that is an absolute takeaway, whether that is in the morning or at night, but to give yourself a moment. We're in a hustle and bustle kind of world, so give yourself time, but it's going to take a little discipline.
The number one thing you can do to show up for other people as a leader is to carve out the time for yourself. Because if you're not the best version of yourself, if you're completely, I'm talking to you a little bit too. Not that you're not.
I feel your eyes and I'm uncomfortable.
I'm just really close to you on the side of the table. Rest is so important. For God's sakes, rest,
Maybe that'll be a different podcast.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And what that looks like. Right. And sometimes it's productive rest. It doesn't mean that you're not doing anything and you're just rotting. Although that is an incredible hobby. I would love to just rot on my couch for a day, but I have 2 kids, so there's just no such thing.
Not possible.
No.
Okay, so Megan, with all that you've got going on, are there any big things in the future that you've got planned or coming up?
If I had a crystal ball that told me that right now, I'd pay a lot of money. Yeah. I don't know. I have this theme in my life where things just have I've stumbled upon an opportunity, and I believe that's God's work.
I agree.
And so I'm just trusting what's to come, but I'm just so grateful. I have the best clients. So if my clients are listening to this, I love you. I love you.
I love you.
You are my
she
client.
said that to me.
I did say that to you. I love you. And I just have an incredible opportunity to work with so many people in the role that I have. So I don't know what's to come.
No, I'm scared to say this, but if anyone, listeners, yes, we're going to have Megan on again because this is fun and so natural. But if anybody could find your work.
Yeah.
Please don't use your schedule.
Lindsay's
no, I'm just kidding.
Text me and be like, this is my fault. I'm
in trouble.
her up.
But where could they find you, Megan, with your photography work?
I'm about to age myself as the millennial that I am. I only have a Facebook right now because I shut down everything to balance, intentionally. I'm leaning more towards doing commercial photography. So I have you obviously as a client. I work with Townline Candle and Lady Inside. And so that's the type of work that I'm looking to do. I intentionally shut down my webpage, but you can find me on Facebook.
I love it.
Or you can reach out to Lindsay and she can be my gatekeeper.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Can
Megan's
I borrow
busy
Megan?
that day. Maybe next, month. I don't know.
Next quarter.
I'll do schedule. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on here today. I love sitting with you and talking to you. And I even said, great, we're here talking about podcasts, but let's do dinner.
Yeah.
Like ASAP.
You guys, that would be an incredible episode where we're having wine. Actually, we should do that next time.
That's not a bad idea.
If Abby allows it.
Abby, we'll give her a glass of wine.
Well, she can have one too.
She can record.
We just said if you just blow on your coffee, or blow on your wine, people won't know that it's actually wine. Or, did I say that right? Yeah.
Yeah, you think it's coffee, but you don't know.
Exactly. Life tips.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. And thank you, Megan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening. If you found this information helpful, please share it with a friend. If you're looking for more information on the topics we covered, please head to the show notes below. And if you wouldn't mind leaving a 5-star rating and review, this would help this mission and our journey to get started. Let's make today and every day an opportunity to level up. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep striving, and keep making a difference.